Komið sæl öll sömul og velkomin á rásina mína, lærum íslensku. Welcome everyone to my channel, Let's Learn Icelandic. Today I'm going to cover another folk song. I think it's useful to try to understand the lyrics of some songs, especially when they're relatively simple. The song that I'm going to talk about today is very famous in Iceland. I think everyone knows it, and it's called Vísur Vatnsenda-Rósu. Vísur Vatnsenda-Rósu, or the verses of Rósa from Vatnsenda, which literally means the end of water. So Rósa Guðmundsdóttir, she was a famous poet in Iceland in the early 1800s, something like this. I think she died 1855, something like this. And this is, I think it's safe to say, her most famous poem. And then later on, there was written a song by Jón Ásgeirsson. Actually, this is a very beautiful song if it's sung correctly, but it's not completely trivial to sing, and I'm not an excellent singer, but I will still try for the sake of teaching you Icelandic. And in the end, the theme of this course is that nobody has to be perfect. Augun mín og augun þín, ó þá fögru steina, mitt þitt og þitt mitt, þú veist hvað ég meina. Langt síðan sá ég hann, sannlega fríður var hann, allt sem prýða má einn mann, mest af líðum bar hann, þig ég trega manna mest, mætt af táraflóði, ó, að við hefðum aldrei sést, elsku vinurinn góði. Okay, let's go through the lyrics. I do hope that you've seen some of my latest episodes, because the last episode 35 taught us the plural of neutral words, and the one before that taught us the use of my and your. So if you've seen these episodes, you should understand the first line perfectly. Okay, perfectly. And this line is augun mín og augun þín. Augun mín og augun þín. And this simply means my eyes and your eyes. The next line is very easy to translate directly, but I think it needs some context. Okay, let's just first translate it directly. The line is ó þá fögru steina. Ó þá fögru steina. And this means, oh, those beautiful stones. Oh, those beautiful stones. Referring to the eyes that you talked about in the first line. So first of all, why is she talking about eyes like stones? Maybe for English speakers it's not completely obvious. For Icelandic speakers it's very, very obvious. Because we have this word that is called augasteinn. Augasteinn, okay. So basically what augasteinn means in a technical sense, in the sort of biological sense, is the lens of the eye. So basically the lens of the eye that is here right behind the pupil. And this is what we call augasteinn. But the meaning that is more relevant for this poem and for the use in general is that when we say augasteinn, typically we mean what in English you would call the apple of my eye. So if you're describing someone who has the apple of my eye, I would say augasteinninn minn. This can be my grandchild typically, or my child, or something that you cherish more than anything in the world. In English you would say apple of my eye. In Icelandic you would say augasteinninn minn. So this word referring to eyes as stones, it comes directly from this, and also I think it sort of alludes to eyes being same as gemstones. So this is sort of the context of why the word for stone is used for eyes, because in English I don't think it's very obvious or very pretty, but in Icelandic it's quite pretty. Then we have this word fagur, okay, fagur, which is in the form fögru in the poem, but the dictionary form is fagur, and this means beautiful, okay. In this course we've seen the word fallegur used for beautiful, And fagur is a synonym, so it means the same. The use of fallegur is much more common nowadays, but back in those days, fagur was much more common. But today you use most of them and they're mostly interchangeable. There's only a few cases where you cannot change them, but in most cases you can either use fagur or fallegur. The meaning is exactly the same. So now you might say, I cannot do the double L's in Icelandic, so fallegur is very difficult for me. From now on I will only use fagur. I cheated the system. Now I can hack my way through Icelandic. And I mean, you can, because I would say that fagur is more easy to pronounce for most foreigners compared to fallegur. However, fagur is much more complicated grammatically speaking. Then we get another line that if you've watched my previous lessons, then you'll understand, hopefully most of it. And that is, mitt þitt og þitt mitt. And what it means is what is mine is yours, and what is yours is mine. So everything that belongs to me also belongs to you, and everything that belongs to you also belongs to me. You and me are one. Oh, how lovely. And then the final line of the first verse is, þú veist hvað ég meina. And this simply means you know what I mean. You know what I mean. When I say that everything that is mine is yours and everything is yours is mine, you know exactly what you mean because you feel the same way. For the second verse, we have the first line, langt síðan sá ég hann. And it means, it has been long since I saw him. And the second line of the second verse is, sannlega fríður var hann. Sannlega fríður var hann. And the meaning is, truly beautiful was he, or if you would do English word order, you would say he was truly beautiful. And here we have another word for beautiful, which is fríður. Fríður. And this is another word that means beautiful, same as fallegur and fagur, but when we use the word fríður, we usually only refer to people. Okay, it's only used on people, possibly on animals, but not really. It's really just only on people, and it typically refers to the sort of the face. So you have a beautiful face in the sense that it's not beauty is in the eye of the beholder. When you're fríður, it means that your face is sort of like almost flawless. It's exactly, everything is symmetric and everything is objectively beautiful. That is what we would call a fríður. Then another version of this word is, I apologize to the Swedish people because I think this is a little bit naughty in Swedish, but it's not in Icelandic. We can say snoppufríður. Snoppufríður. Snappa is basically this part of an animal, this part that is usually protruding a little bit, and snoppufríður, then it means sort of pretty. So it means like you're pretty in the face, you're pretty in this region, and it usually means like you're a pretty boy or pretty girl, typically with a delicate feature. So you're pretty in sort of a delicate way, while fríður doesn't mean that you're delicate, it just means that you're perfect. And therefore, Vatnsenda-Rósa is singing about this man that she hasn't seen for a long time ago and who is truly, truly beautiful in the face. Then the next line is, allt sem prýða má einn mann. Allt sem prýða má einn mann. Literal translation is everything that can possibly decorate one man. Everything that can possibly decorate one man or can possibly enhance the value of one man. And then comes the next sentence, mest af líðum bar hann. Mest af líðum bar hann. Líður means the general population. Okay, the general population. So mest af líðum bar hann, it means that he had everything that can decorate one man. He had that the most of all the people. So he had more than anyone else. He had everything that you can possibly have to make a man perfect. Okay, so now Vatnsenda-Rósa has described this really, really out of this world, perfect, unreal man. And then comes the last verse. Þig ég trega manna mest is the first sentence. Þig ég trega manna mest. Okay, so að trega. Að trega does not have a direct English translation, but in this context it means to miss to the point of it hurting, and it refers to somebody that you have lost. So you don't trega somebody who is maybe gone away for a 3 months trip, then you don't trega him. But somebody you have either lost completely or maybe has died or something like this. So it means that you're absolutely devastated and you miss him in a way that is similar to grief. So the sentence "Þig ég trega manna mest," it means that out of all the men in the world, I miss you the most. Then the second line just builds on to this, and it says "mætt af táraflóði," "mætt af táraflóði," and the word mættur means tired and sad. Okay, so mættur, you cannot be mættur just because, I don't know, you had a hard workout. It's because you're so sad that you become exhausted. You're like exhausted from sadness. This is what mættur means. So mætt af táraflóði means I'm exhausted and sad from a flood of tears. So it's been a flood of tears and it's caused me to be completely exhausted and I'm completely sad. And the next line is a wish. It's a wish and is "Ó, að við hefðum aldrei sést." Ó, að við hefðum aldrei sést. And the meaning is, oh, if only we had never seen each other, if we had never met, if we had never seen each other. So she's wishing, because she's so devastated by grief and by sadness, because she hasn't seen this man in a long time, this perfect specimen of a man. She hasn't seen him in a long time. Either he left her or either he's dead, I don't know. Either way, she is devastated. So now she's wishing that they had never met, that they had never seen each other, and then she wouldn't be in this situation. And then we have the final line, and this is "Elsku vinurinn góði." Elsku vinurinn góði. The literal translation is quite straightforward. It's just "dear good friend." Dear good friend is because he's calling out to him, I wish we had never seen each other, dear good friend. But the translation is slightly nuanced because the word vinur, which means a friend, and the female version vina, these are used as words of affection. Like you would use love or honey, like English use a lot, hello love, and nice to see you love, and all of this. In the same way, Icelandic people use vinur and vinan. So it's not only that she's calling him a friend, it's a term of endearment. So she's actually saying, my dear good love, or my dear good friend, I wish we had never seen each other. So it's sort of a very sad poem, but it's very beautiful when it's sung correctly. As you can hear, I'm covering a little bit from cold, and that's fantastic because then I can use that as an excuse that I'm not singing it better. But this is just for education reasons, so I will try to sing it once again. You can try to sing along, or at least I hope that now when we go through it you will understand the lyrics, and then I strongly encourage you to check a proper version and see when it actually sounds the way it's supposed to sound. Augun mín og augun þín, ó þá fögru steina, mitt þitt og þitt mitt, þú veist hvað ég meina. Langt síðan sá ég hann, sannlega fríður var hann, allt sem prýða má einn mann, mest af líðum bar hann, þig ég trega manna mest, mætt af táraflóði, ó, að við hefðum aldrei sést, elsku vinurinn góði. So here comes a grammatical side note. I'm always sneaking in lessons wherever I can. So grammatical side notes. When you want to change fagur, depending on the gender and everything else, normally when you have adjective that ends with an ur. When you want to change it to the female form, you will just drop the ur and do a sound change because there's an a there. A turns into an ur. So you would expect it to go like this, but actually it doesn't. It doesn't. So I'll just show you how it's used. In the male singular form, you say fagur. But in the female singular form, if you have a woman that is beautiful, then you say hún fögur. Hún fögur. So instead of the ur being the ending, the entire word fagur is something that we treat like the root of the word, but we still do the sound change because why not? Okay, why not? So we say hann fagur, hún fögur, and then very unusually, the neutral gender is actually not the one that is causing problems in the adjectives because you will just add t to the root of the word, which is everything, and then you will say hán fagurt. Hán fagurt. Hann fagur, hún fögur, hán fagurt. But the trouble don't end there because in the plural there are also some irregularities. You would expect in a normal case when you say þeir that you would just add ir to the root of the word. But now, because we have an ur ending and that sort of ur sounds like an ending and then having two endings, it's too much of a hassle. So we drop the u and then we simply say þeir fagrir. Þeir fagrir. In the same way for the female form, we will say þær fagrar. Þær fagrar. And then finally, in the neutral form, this is luckily the same, as always, the same as the female singular, and we say þau fögur. Þau fögur. So we could, for example, say hérna fögur börn. So if you were wondering how I can claim that Icelandic is more difficult than German, even though the underlying grammar is basically the same, it's because of shit like that. It's because of words like that that don't make any sense. But anywho, fagur means fallegur or beautiful. Connect these sentences with the correct translation and also try to say them out loud and try to see if you can pronounce them. Press pause, take your time, and then now I will give you the result. Here are the answers. I will read over the phrases for pronunciation reasons. Sannlega fríður var hann, mætt af táraflóði. Augun mín og augun þín, þú veist hvað ég meina. Langt síðan sá ég hann. And finally, elsku vinurinn góði. Which of these words mean either beautiful or pretty? Press pause, take your time, I'll give you the result. The underlined words mean beautiful or pretty. The other ones are mættur, which means sad and exhausted, sannlega, which means truly, táraflóð, which means a flood of tears, and finally vinur, which means a friend. The final exercise of today is for those of you who are brave enough to try to use fagur. Just fill it out and try to see how much of it you remember. Press pause, take your time, and now is the result. Þeir fagrir, það fagurt, hann fagur, þau fögur, þær fagrar, and hún fögur. That's all for today. Thank you very much for watching. Bless bless.